السلام عليكم.
أكبر.
الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن الصلاة حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله. خلق أجمعين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك قيوم السماوات والأراضين بعث نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رحمة للعالمين. الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا متقين. عباد الله، قد طلع علينا يوم عظيم ويوم مبارك وهو يوم الجمعة. إن الله تبارك to be here. We thank him for his mercies that he's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also themselves. I believe Almighty Allah, meaning on the surface of the earth. When he said in Surah Al-Baqarah, Almighty Allah has made us managers on the earth, which is a guide. We have Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ultimate human being that ever lived. And the Almighty Allah is our God. But then if you look at our lands, if you look at ourselves, if you look at how we live our lives, does it really blame anybody or some groups of people? I'm here to share with you my individually or collectively. This is the essence of our life as Muslims, that we give each other advice. We share whether we have. It's like one body. If the arm is in pain, the rest of the body must come together to nurse the pain that the arm is feeling. If the arm is in pain and the eyes say we don't care, the eyes are going to have sleepless nights. So this is the embodiment of what Islam is all about. How are we going to salvage, the already deteriorating image of Muslims and Islam on this earth? And how well are we going to protect the next generation of Muslims? How well are we going to nurture the next generation of Muslims that when they see the happenings in the Muslim world, in as much as it is painful, it doesn't demoralize different countries that we have, irrespective of the nationalistic ideologies that have been pushed upon us, we are still one ummah. In the medieval times, when Europe was in Cordoba and Baghdad, were shining lights of examples for science and technology and development. The rest of the world was in darkness. The Muslim world was the one that led the Renaissance that everybody wants to, relate. Number one, we need to go back to our Aqidah and our Tawheed. It's very, very important. It's creed that the Prophet Muhammad taught us. Until we go back to the pristine, pure teachings of the Prophet Muhammad until we push away all the diluted stuff that has been pushed down our throats, we'll still have a long way to go. And this is the cause of the division. What the chief of your village says, and he is doing what the king of his country says. But then, what does Islam teach us? And that's the problem. So number one, let's infuse and let's imbibe in the next generation the concept of Aqidah, the concept of creed, that La ilaha come around this one statement, it brings all of us together. The moment we all come, وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا, when we all come together and hold onto the rope of the Almighty Allah, this creed of Tawheed, we will stand firm and strong. When you go back to the early stages of Islam, in Madinatul Munawwara, you come into the masjid of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you find Umar bin Khattab, a Qurashi, with Salman al-Farisi, a Persian, with Suhaib al-Rumi, an European, and Bilal al-Habashi, an African, all standing on the same row, all drinking from the same cup, all eating from the same bowl, irrespective of the social status, irrespective of the financial difference. They have one common agenda. They have one common objective. That's why they were able to rule the known world for 1,000 years. From the mountains of Siberia in the north to the Indian Ocean in the south. from the mountains of Mongolia in the east to the doors of Paris in the west. So long as we say La ilaha illallah, this is our strength. We need to go back to that. That's number one. We need to teach that to the up and coming generation. Whether he is born in Pakistan or he's born in the US, whether he's from Sudan or he's from Iraq, whether he's from Ghana or he's from Libya, whether he's in America or in Canada, the moment this word La ilaha illallah is mentioned, this is our source of strength and this is our source of power. And the enemies of Islam really understand this. That is why they are splitting us apart. They are giving us nationalistic ideologies. We are pushing it down our throat. We are swallowing it. I'm a Pakistani. You are a Bangladeshi. You are a Libyan. You are a... Eat bread and then that's it. They go and have all these conferences. With all due respect, they are useless conferences because at the end of the day, it doesn't meet any solutions. So number one, let's have freebies that some people are giving us. We need to move away from the help and look for our sources of funding only through fundraisers. We're going to look at our source of funding through, employment and those other things that are not stable. They will not be able to find our ways until we develop these entrepreneurial skills. As young Muslims that are listening to socio-economic development of the community you find yourself in, very important. If you observe, that is why when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says we need funds, Abu Bakr Siddiq will clear his whole account and then bring it to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Our own battles. Whatever freebie someone is going to give you is going to have strings attached. That is why Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, his whole family, his kids, even his animal to go to Medina, deliverance with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his help for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I ask myself this question always: why is it that on the night that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was going to migrate to Medina, he told Ali radiallahu anhu, "Atanamu fi..." Anybody who sleeps on the Prophet's bed that day is a dead body. He knew, because the kuffar had put a bounty on the head of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They wanted him dead or alive. Ali said, "Ya Rasulullah, I'll use my life as a sacrifice to save you." Do you know how old he was that day? He was only 19 years old. Ali was 19 years old when he slept on the bed of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he knew certainly that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be killed, and anybody who slept in that bed will be killed. These people to give out these sacrifices. I ask myself, how is that Abu Bakr Siddiq afflicts him but that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He wants to make sure if there's danger coming from behind, it touches him but not the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wants to make sure if danger is coming from the right, it touches him first. Willing to put out everything that they had because they realized and understood that this belongs to us. Muslim leaders, how well are we exhibiting these kind of qualities to our people, to our subordinates, to our followers? أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب إليه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. أما بعد. We're speaking about the current happenings in the Muslim world and how well we can find solutions for that within the short term and the long term at the same time. We are not going to lose hope that it is done and dusted with the Muslim world. It is done and dusted with the current leadership. Let's forget about them. Let's turn to the young people. No, we need to fight off those parts of the body that have cancer. At the same time, we are protecting the other body that is not yet affected. And this is the way we solve problems. And this is the way Muslims must look at these things. That when we say it is done and dusted, no. Let's not lose hope of getting the mercy of the Almighty Allah. We Muslims over our history have been faced with more tragic things. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam died, but yet still we survived. The Mongolians attacked us, destroyed Baghdad, threw away millions of our books, and the rivers turned into black because of the ink of the books. They killed us in Baghdad to the point where the knees of the horses were in blood. But then we survived. The Crusaders came. They fought us. They took Jerusalem for 91 years. We still survived. So this current impasse that the Muslim world is facing, it is just time. But then we need to look and go back into history. How did our forebears come out from those challenges? We already have the solutions. We already have the answers. We are just looking at the wrong places for those solutions and answers. The solutions and answers are in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We just need to take our time and look in there and stop copying anything from anybody. We are the custodians of development. We are the custodians of truth. We are the ones who illuminated humanity. We pulled humanity from darkness into light. We did that. For 14 centuries, we've been doing it. The fact that we are facing challenges today doesn't mean we should lose hope. It doesn't mean we should curse those leaders. It doesn't mean we should insult them. No. When we curse them, when we insult them, when we drag them down, we are dragging ourselves down. There is an old saying which says, don't kill your lions. When you kill your lions, other people's dogs will enter. We need to have this. Let's support each other in truth. Whatever we do, let's put Allah first in whatever we do. Whatever relationship I have with you, it should be for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Whatever I'm doing is for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Whatever job I take, it should be for the sake of the Almighty Allah. Whatever appointment, my mind, that this is the mindset that the Sahaba had, and this is what propelled them to be able to rule the known world. They were goat herders, sheep herders, and camel herders, but then they were able to. Roman general came to Medina to see where these soldiers are coming from fighting them. He was expecting to see paved roads. He was expecting to see all the huge buildings that they have in Rome. He came to Medina and found thatch and mud houses. He came to Medina, he found the weather very hot. They came to the masjid and then they were looking for Umar ibn Khattab. He wanted to see us here. So they went after Umar. They found Umar ibn Khattab the roadside under a tree. And Umar ibn Khattab said, sit down. He was sitting on the floor. Sit down. He sat next to him. And he told Umar, Ya Umar, adilta fa'aminta qaril al-ayn. You were any community or society that wants to develop must look at two ingredients. The first one is the experience and the knowledge of the older folks, our fathers here, and then coupled with the youthful ignorance and the power of the younger ones. These are two ingredients. Times the tall Iroko tree. Reality. And that is how the Prophet Muhammad blended the community. He had Umar, he had Abu Bakr, and he had Abdullah ibn Abbas. Abdullah ibn Abbas, when the Prophet died, do you know how old he was? He was only 13 years old. But you hear hadith of Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas. ربنا آتنا في
محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر
الدين تبارك الذي وهو على كل شيء ترى من فطور الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم ملك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين هو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Just need a couple of minutes of your time for